reality TV has brought us some fun things, right? Like it's brought us memes. We like memes, don't we, folks? It's brought us dance. It rehabbed the image of a Nepo baby con man. I mean, what could go wrong, right? Everybody knows reality TV is fake. They know it, but they forget it. Reality TV, it changes what reality is for you. Because I'm a polyamory channel, a lot of people want me to cover the latest polyamorous reality show, right? And so I will, but only under the condition that we get to talk about media literacy, right? Because these shows manipulate you. I know. I used to be a manipulator in chief, y'all. I used to be an editor on some unscripted TV shows. So I'm going to reveal the magic trick for you. I am going to lie to your face and show you how it's done. But first, what is good? I am Genevieve. I am polyamorous for 13 years. I offer education, not over here, over there, long and short form education. And I have a second YouTube channel with Q&As and a podcast all about polyamory if you want to learn more about it. But on this channel, we have fun. I take a look at film and TV with non-monogamy in it. So if you want more of that in your life, don't be shy. You can subscribe. It's okay. It's right there. It's so easy. With that, let's get into it. So the reality show PolyFamily, it's a poly story about two couples who fade dissolved into each other's life, and then they had a couple of ghost children, and now they kiss a few hundred times a day. And it is on TLC, which is a huge red flag to me right from the jump. TLC brought us Honey Boo Boo, John and Kate plus 8. 19 kids and counting, right? TLC at this point is in the business of exploiting families. So they put a family on screen. Already I'm side-eyeing however they're going to represent them.
I'm Alicia, and this is Tyler. We've been married for 11 years.
11 glorious years.
A close quad like ours is extremely rare. What are the chances that I'm going to love Taya's husband and she's going to love mine? It's a lot of relationships to manage, and we all have to be able to get along.
Taya and Sean are married. Alicia and Tyler are married. And when all four are sitting together, the show marks girlfriend and wife, not husband and boyfriend. It's a subtle way to sort of imply that the men are the ones getting something out of this, despite both women also having two partners. And the show kind of paints Taya as a victim and Sean as a villain. And to an extent, Alicia also gets painted as a victim of someone who is not enjoying this setup, and Tyler gets painted mostly like the good guy. Now, I don't know these people, maybe that's real, but all I can do when I see these sort of archetypes is think of it like an editor. So when I was editing unscripted television, I would be given a mountain of footage and then this giant book from the producers of every character and what archetype they were supposed to be. This person's the victim, this person's the villain, this person's the sweetheart. It's something we all know happens, but most people do not internalize how calculated and kind of psychotic the process is behind the scenes. So if that's my task as the editor, I'm told Taya is the victim. Okay, well, I'm going to scan through this mountain of footage. I'm going to look for any time she's having a bad day, anytime she's sad or powerless or complaining, anytime that she looks hurt. That all goes into a folder because that all goes into the show. It's going to be heavily emphasized. If I'm told Sean is the villain, so anytime he was like kind of hungry and agitated, anytime he was the one that brought up an argument, even if that was only once and other people brought up arguments 10 times, I'm picking the one that Sean brought up. I'm going to get anytime he walks away quickly, because maybe I could add music and make it seem like he stormed off. You sprinkle in some reaction shots, boom, you got drama. Never mind the reactions were from a separate conversation. And if I need somebody to say something that they never said, I'm gonna go look for puzzle pieces of parts of sentences and make them say it under B-roll. So for example, when Taya says this,
I don't think that they necessarily took it seriously initially. I think they were kind of hoping it was a phase. They've been incredibly supportive. They're not just my family anymore. They are family to Tyler and Alicia and Sean and the kids, and their bond is really special.
I can cut it up, put it under B-roll, and make her say this.
They were hoping it was a phase. They're not my family anymore.
And if you're like, Genevieve, that's awful. Why would they do that? Yeah, it's why I quit the industry, because they do this all the time. Look for Frankenstitched lines when you're watching reality TV. It will always sound a little off, and it's not always that bad, you know? For example, when Sean is talking under B-roll, he has a choppy sentence where he says, finding a lawyer for the adoption, and so...
The paternity information coming out, finding a lawyer for the adoption. And so since we've been on newborn baby mode...
Like, it's not a huge deal, but those two edits sound a little off to me. I'd bet money that that sentence was completely manufactured manufactured by the editor. And if it was, look, it's probably not the end of the world this time. It might not have changed the original meaning even, but we can't know for sure because you can create any kind of sentence under B-roll. And I'm extra suspicious if the cut could make drama. So listen for Taya's hiccup here.
We met at work, and he was my supervisor one day and was kind of sassy with our group, and I just knew that I liked him right off the bat.
That sentence was stitched in the middle. What did they cut out? Could be nothing, could be something that changes the meaning. Like, what if she had said, he was my supervisor one day, but we didn't date until after he stopped being my boss, right? They could cut that second part of the sentence to make Sean sound bad as an older boss with a younger subordinate. Now, again, I ain't defending the family. Maybe that all did play out that way, right? The point is, I do not trust TLC's editors, not even a little. So that's chopping up words, but remember, I have all these folders of people acting exactly how I want them to act. Now I can put them in different orders than really happened. There's a reason a lot of reality shows do not have clocks on the wall, do not have clear wine glasses, because they want to take bits and pieces from different parts of different days, maybe a different part of the week, and put it all together in whatever order they want. And if the wine levels go up and down, if the clock on the wall is just doing this and that, right? They can't do that. So keep an eye out for anything that you're like, maybe that's for continuity. Maybe that's so they can manipulate me. So I'll give you an example using PolyFamily, but first I gotta tell you about an editing trick called the Kulashave effect, where the order of shots can change their meaning. Alfred Hitchcock once explained it like this.
Now we have a close-up. Then we show what he sees. Let's assume he saw a woman holding a baby in her arms. Now we cut back to his reaction to what he sees, and he smiles. Now what is he as a character? He's a kindly man. Now, take the middle piece of film away, the woman with the child, but leave his two pieces of film as they were. Now we'll put in a piece of film of a girl in a bikini. He smiles. What is he now? The dirty old man. He's no longer the benign gentleman.
The order you put the clips in can change its meaning. You can insert reaction shots anywhere to change the vibe of a person or situation. So let's try it ourselves with a clip of Alicia. First, she hears something. In the other room, Taya and Sean are with the baby, laughing. Cut back to Alicia, she looks annoyed, maybe left out, even hurt. But let's try it a second time. She hears something, and now it's Sean getting up and leaving. We cut back to Alicia, she looks like, what the hell is his problem? And even though technically those things all did happen, I'm putting them in an order to make you feel something specific, to make you feel exactly what I want you to feel. And the show put her reaction to Sean telling a story. But again, with the Kulashave effect, we don't know if that was her real reaction in that moment. And this can go beyond a single moment, by the way, to instead change how you feel about an entire story arc. I'll show you what I mean. I'm gonna take a conflict that happened in the show and I'm gonna re-edit it 2 different ways to hopefully give 2 different vibes. Now, bear with me, it will not be seamless because the footage I'm using already has music in it. So you're gonna notice when I move things around, but stick with me for the bigger point.
At 4:11 p.m., Quentin Heartless Rogers was born, weighing 9 pounds, 2 ounces, and he's perfect.
Quentin has a cowlick, so do I. He's also got dimples, and so do I. I mean, I'll be straight with you. Tay and I have a lot of sex. So if you want to talk statistics, there's a good chance that he could be mine biologically. I really wish that I could be on the birth certificate for Quentin. I'm a little bit jealous that Sean is, and I'm not.
Well, Tyler texted everybody in the group chat Quentin's vital information, his height and weight and blood type.
The blood type tells us paternity, and so for him just to send it, pretty irritating. Tyler wears his dad-ass shirt all the time and normally would not bother me, but today, knowing what's going on, him wearing that shirt and me possibly not being the biological father of Q just kind of rubs salt in the wounds.
He's here out. He knows what he signed up for.
And so in this edit, I started with Sean holding the baby, being very sweet, so you sort of empathize. And then very soon, I cut to Tyler talking about how much sex he has with Taya. And that together feels like kind of jarring and inappropriate a little bit, right? And there's this competitiveness of comparing features and stuff. That was taken from a totally different part of the show. Then when they're playing dodgeball, I only include that Tyler might have a passive-aggressive shirt on. I deleted the parts where Sean was like lashing out and hitting Tyler a lot with the ball. So Sean does still come across irritated, but I've weighted Tyler disproportionately to come across like he has bad intentions. But let's rewind and see that conflict a different way.
We really don't want to know the paternity of our children if we can avoid it. It's just a way to signify that we're all a family together and that we're all their parents.
Well, Tyler texted everybody in the group chat Quentin's vital information, his height and weight and blood type. When we decided not to find out paternity, we didn't have discussions about finding out blood type because we didn't know that it could point to paternity.
I was just trying to forward information on. I did not put 2 and 2 together that blood type could spell out paternity for us.
What I read on the internet was that 2B blood type parents cannot produce an O negative child. It says they cannot, so not the father.
I am regretful that I caused him to have to go through something that might be a little bit painful. I don't know.
And you can see there's remorse and care, and everybody still loves each other. It's just an accident. I start with Tyler holding the baby, and I focus more on the accident of it all. I deliberately chose to use majority interview shots because it can bring about more empathy and connection when you see somebody's face as opposed to talking over B-roll. So even if something did happen, a conflict did happen, it can still be all moved around any which way to make anyone the bad guy and anyone sympathetic. And whether or not you feel like this specific example would have worked on you, I do guarantee that if you're passively watching something and your guard is down, this technique not only will work on you, it probably already has. So you might be thinking, okay, so they can edit things to look worse, but what about the things that people actually do and say on screen? Like, they didn't make that part up, you see them do it. Yes and no. On an unscripted set, usually at least one producer is there, basically like an event coordinator. I don't know about the PolyFamily set, I wasn't there, so I'm just talking broadly now. They are prompting people to ask questions. They are telling people lines to say. They are asking you like, oh, can you show your emotion more? Can you be a bit more dramatic? Can you have that argument again? Can you like do a do-over, right? And I think one of the most insidious things that a producer can do is like plant little seeds of drama or make you feel upset, saying, bring this up, ask this question. Don't you think this person kind of has it out for you, right? They're in there stirring the pot and trying to generate conflict if there is not any. You're gonna be great. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and since we don't wanna hear the producer's voice, you're going to repeat back to me my question in your answer.
Sure.
So let's get started with something light. Tell me, how did you sleep last night?
Not very well.
No, remember you're gonna say my full question back to me in your answer, so try again.
I didn't sleep very well last night.
Perfect. And why didn't you sleep very well?
Oh, my husband got a phone call kind of late, and I'm a late sleeper, so, it happens.
So let's get that full sentence back to me.
I didn't get a lot of sleep last night because my husband got a phone call and I'm a light sleeper.
Perfect. Now, do you know who called your husband?
His girlfriend, actually.
That's kind of strange, right? Like, I know you're a very considerate person, and I don't think you would ever call that late, right?
I think she just needed something, but yeah, I guess, I would have thought of that. I wouldn't have called at that hour.
And I know in past interviews, you've said that she's been kind of jealous of you lately. So to me, and I could be wrong, but it kind of wouldn't surprise me if she did that on purpose. What do you think?
She has been kind of jealous of me lately, and that would be really messed up if she did that on purpose.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too, right? So, but real quick, like before, let's get a full sentence where you say all of it at once.
Sure. I didn't sleep very well last night because my husband's girlfriend called. And I don't know if she did that on purpose to wake me up or get in our way because she has been jealous of me lately.
That was the sped up version, but it happens like that. They are very good at noticing tiny tensions and fanning the flames, right? The jealousy did pre-exist. The exhaustion did pre-exist. But the start of that conversation, the person was not upset with their meta, and now they really are. It seems like it wouldn't work, but if you're a charming enough producer with people whose defenses are down, you can create a conflict based on this thing that you kind of pulled a person to say, or at the very least get a soundbite that you otherwise wouldn't get. So let's come back to PolyFamily, the interview sections. I saw a lot of line reads that sounded a bit too neatly packaged.
Being in a closed quad isn't always the easiest thing, but it's definitely worth it to us.
People usually don't talk in that tight of a summary soundbite.
And nothing happened last night. We went to bed, but this morning we both kind of woke up feeling a little frisky, and so we hooked up this morning before we started our day.
How often do you rapid fire recap your morning in 6 seconds or less? And then there are other lines that sound a bit scripted or stiff.
Truthfully, I've always been drawn to Lex ever since I saw her online. And when we met in person, we definitely had chemistry.
So Taya met someone she's falling for and is describing it with all the enthusiasm of an accountant reading your taxes. Like, that's not a comment on how much she likes the woman, by the way. I'll get into that in a second. It's more about this interview sounding rehearsed and not natural. Here's another example of a suspiciously stiff line read.
I definitely think that Sean confides in Taya more. It's been an ongoing issue in Sean's and my relationship.
Like, that's kind of a flat way to talk about a painful thing. It wouldn't surprise me if a producer was involved. Also, we know she didn't say those things in that order because her hair changes. In sentence 1, it's a lot more curled than a few seconds later. Those lines were probably hours apart. And they don't usually talk so stiff. You can tell in this interview.
I can still give him a kiss and a hug and,
Yeah, you can.
Huh?
Yeah, you can.
And then the next night, when we switch,
Like, they're more animated and expressive. And this is no shade to the family, I want to be clear. They're not professional actors. It's not their fault if a producer's pushing them to say things, allegedly. Like, some of the best producers are like some of the worst people that you've ever met. Not all of them. They know how to work people, right? And that's kind of the whole point. Once you start looking for scripted sounding lines, you're gonna spot them everywhere in every reality show. And I don't know if you caught it, but every single interview, they're wearing the exact same outfit. It's because this was filmed all at once many months later. And you could say that's for efficiency. It also means they can move these interview pieces anywhere in the show. They can take a comment from episode 5, put it in episode 1, and the audience can't tell the difference. Producers can also fake an entire story arc.
I have been trying to deny my feelings for Lex. I think a crush initially can be pretty innocent, but knowing that it goes both ways makes things a little bit more real, and I'm scared of what that means.
All I want is everybody to be happy and everybody to be on the same page and have everybody's blessing.
In this show, there were, allegedly, dozens of staged scenes. Because when Taya wants a girlfriend, it's a big drama in the closed quad.
There definitely is flirtation going on. There's no denying that.
You're awesome, and I low-key am crushing.
I think I have feelings for her too.
We don't date outside the 4 of us. You wanted to change that?
When you bring in another partner, there's a level of threat.
I don't see how it's fair. I'm fighting for my family here.
I don't know where we go from here.
Very drama, much distress, except Lex, her then girlfriend, I don't know if they're still together, she said on TikTok that not only did she have everyone's consent in the quad prior to dating Taya, but that they were together already 1.5 years before filming even began. Quote, "What we filmed was just to add to a reality TV storyline." So all those heated emotions, fighting for the family, will we survive this? Supposedly, all of it fake. Again, please do not go after the family. I'm sure this wasn't their idea and guaranteed they signed a contract where they're not allowed to talk about it, but this kind of theater, this kind of trickery, it happens on pretty much every reality show. You literally can't trust what you see. And I think it gets even worse on different genres of reality show, like on talk shows that are supposed to be sensational or exploitative, or on dating shows that are inherently competitive and dramatic. I'll give a quick example of each of those because I do think they are a different kind of terrible than a family show setting. So for a talk show, let's say Dr. Phil. He's a straight shooter who lost his license actually and isn't a doctor anymore. And for some reason now he's involved in ICE raids. So thanks, Oprah. And one of the most notorious moments on Dr. Phil was when Danielle Bregoli, a 13-year-old girl, you might know her as the Cash Me Outside girl.
Catch me outside, how about that?
She had this to say about how producers treated her.
The fucking lady who runs the show said to me, oh, when you get up there, do whatever you feel like will make a good show. Kick, scream, punch.
You know, therapy. They weren't helping her, they were just making money off her, with viral moments that got tens of millions of views. So yeah, if producers are not above riling up and manipulating a 13-year-old, a child, then on how many other shows are they riling up the kids? And we don't know about that. You can pull a 5-year-old aside and say, mommy doesn't like you, and now you've got drama for the day, right? Easy peasy. But the genre where I think the producers create more of a systemic upsetting situation is dating shows, right? Some people actually actually asked me to cover Couple to Thruple, the polyamory unicorn hunting show, I actually interviewed one of the contestants, Denise, about the couple she met there and is still dating. So you can listen to her story on my podcast, I Could Never. I'll link it down below. But yeah, for the most part, dating shows are pretty formulaic with a closed set on a mansion or a resort. And have no phones, again, have no clocks. There's no concept of time or space. And then they just drown them with alcohol. One crew member confessed, producers don't necessarily pressure contestants to get drunk, but they definitely cast people who are known to get ridiculously drunk in trouble. Or they make you like really hungry. Do you remember when the Love is Blind contestants were like, yeah, they don't feed us?
I lost 15 pounds in 3 weeks from the pods in Mexico. And looking at my suit, I had that thing tailored like the week before coming. And
like a perfect fit, right?
Like a perfect fit, yeah.
No, it's like your first suit out of undergrad, right? You just go to Macy's and pick
up whatever's on sale. You don't have access to water unless you want to drink it out of the faucet or the shower. We're all just sitting there, not being fed on any kind of regular cadence, but definitely being fed a lot of alcohol. My body was just exhausted and dehydrated and hungry.
I didn't at all expect what actually went down and what happened, which was quite a bit more psychological torture, manipulation, and just basically exploitation.
So let's give some grace for these people who yeah, they agreed to be on the show, but they didn't agree to break the Geneva Convention. For legal reasons, that is a joke. So yeah, if you can empathize, maybe you're a really lovely person who's very reasonable, but then if you get exhausted or wasted or hungry, would you want a camera on you in those moments, you know? And I don't think it's an accident that reality TV stars are trying to unionize to get better treatment from producers. Kids that are on reality shows or on social media are trying to change the laws so that child protection and child labor laws apply to them as well.
When they reach adulthood, they may not like the way they're being portrayed. Maybe they need to have some control over taking content down off the internet.
He's working on proposing protections for child actors and influencers.
I foresee there will be legal crises, with these children realizing that vlogging has brought severe emotional distress, or these kids may realize they don't have an appropriate amount of money to show for their labor.
So these are the growing concerns with this genre of entertainment as kids from reality TV and family vlogging grow up to tell their stories. And since I don't know PolyFamily, I couldn't say what's what. Maybe their kids grow up and they have fond memories of it all. But for now, I'm blurring their faces to avoid adding to a digital footprint that's beyond their control. And my main point is about this genre of entertainment being the issue, right? The widespread way that people on camera and people in the audience, that's you, get manipulated for profit. And I can't say if the quad on PolyFamily feels exploited. I don't know how they feel about their representation. I do know what people are saying online about them, and it's a little unhinged.
PolyFamily with the hot brunette dude, the two girls who are just the same person in different fonts, and that giant red ginger man who has a darkness in his eyes that I didn't think existed outside of Eastern European snuff films.
They say they don't get involved in the arguments between the guys. You're just saying that because you're getting dicked down by both of these men and you don't want that to stop.
Sean on PolyFamily trying to sabotage the quad? Yeah, I think so. And there's a name for what he's doing. What I think he might be doing is called a reverse discard. This is where a narcissist or a generally abusive person doesn't want to take on the responsibility or accountability of actually ending a relationship.
Strangers extrapolating what's going on with people that they don't know, that they've not even seen the true story. And there's lots of big accusations on Reddit from recently made accounts that are 10 or 12 days old, or accounts that have since been deleted. There are people saying Tyler is evil. They say Sean gives predator energy, gives groomer too. There's accusations of Sean lying to the audience about having other kids from a former marriage. My guess would be that the show probably excluded that if it didn't fit the story they wanted to tell. His ex-wife allegedly made accusations that he's abusive, which, if it's true, of course is a huge problem. Of course I would hope his current partners and all the kids are safe. It is strange to me that I do not see news articles about it. There's only info on Reddit or gossip blogs. That doesn't mean it's false. It just means I'm not taking it at face value. And to be clear, I'm not defending Sean. These allegations could be true, I just don't know. I don't know the man. I don't know the family. And even if you've seen the show, you don't know them either. Because TLC ain't a reliable narrator. They have decades of history exploiting families. Toddlers and Tiaras broadcast actual babies in revealing outfits to millions of households. And then they gave one of the poorest kids her own show, and she basically grew up on camera while everyone mocked her and her family's poverty. The show only got pulled when the mother of the family started dating a convicted predator. But we only learned about that later, and the reason you don't hear about problems right away is these contracts can be airtight. Famously, John and Kate Plus 8, where a couple with twins and then sextuplets put the whole family on air for a lot of years. It was a huge moneymaker for TLC. At its peak, it was making over $700 million a year for the network, the one show. And John wanted to take his kids off air, and he wanted to divorce Kate, and TLC was not having it.
I don't want them to film anymore. I don't think it's healthy for them. And the reason I don't think it's healthy for them is that we're going through a divorce right now. And I don't think it should be televised.
The network sued John for talking about his own life publicly because it was spoilers. Then they put a gag order on him for a decade so he couldn't talk about anything, and then they launched a PR campaign against him. He was not legally allowed to defend himself. If you want to know the gossip of how terrible TLC specifically is and everything they've done to families on their shows, Billiam did a really great deep dive on it, so I'll link that down below. And so that's on my mind when I see PolyFamily and the gossip and the rumor mills and people taking this heavily manipulated TV show as evidence of truth. All I can think is like, what will we learn is real whenever the contracts are up, whenever it's legally possible to tell all. So enjoy the show, love the show, I love that for you, right? Like, I'm not trying to take away anybody's fun. I'm just saying, base your opinion of the people on anything they do outside of the show. Their social media, or if they get arrested, or like anything outside of the show is so much more reliable about who that person is than what the producers have crafted for you. Whenever I see reality TV, how I engage with the show itself is I treat it like a scripted show with actors, because so often it's a lot closer to that than it is to reality. Anyway, that's what I got to say about that. Maybe I'll invite one of the PolyFamily on my podcast, right? And then we can talk about the show in more depth. Again, if you want to listen to the gossip from the show Couple to Thruple with the contestant Denise, that podcast episode is down below. Anyway, if you made it this far, I love you so much. Hit subscribe. Let's stay in touch. I got a couple of other videos already in the works, so stay tuned. And until then, I hope you have a lovely day. Bye.